Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square. Joining me today is the Center Square's Wisconsin correspondent, Benjamin Yount. How you doing?
It is going to be a beautiful Mother's Day weekend. I have to get a present for my wife, so I'm split today. Happy, but nervous.
What does one get his wife of many, many years and the woman who has birthed your children?
Earrings? A dinner? Just not flowers. I've been given those specific instructions. Don't bring flowers home on the big holidays. She would be much more upset. She would rather me forget the holiday than to just simply buy her flowers and bring them home. Flowers, as I have been informed several times, are just because, not for Mother's Days.
Gotcha. Well, listen, we brought this up a couple weeks ago. I was not here last week. We have brought this up. This is a continuing topic. It's an ongoing saga in the state of Wisconsin where your legislators are trying to figure out a reasonable formula for shared revenue. First of all, tell me what shared revenue is so that the listeners, as well as myself, know what shared revenue is and what the major bones of contention are.
This is essentially the Gableman investigation of the spring, and it is a story that we will talk about every week until it is done, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit afterwards. Yeah, shared revenue is the big issue in the state budget right now. The governor's number one priority. It is something that Republicans have finally agreed to, but in typical Wisconsin fashion, the governor wants one thing, Republicans want something else, and there is, as of yet, no public agreement. Shared revenue is quite simply money that the state of Wisconsin shares with local governments.
Well, it's money that they collect from taxpayers from throughout the state, and then they turn around and redistribute it to those communities.
Remittance, I believe, is the official accounting term.
Remit. Yes.
Yeah, but it is money from the state that goes to local governments. And this goes on right now. There's about $1 billion in shared revenue that goes from Madison to town halls. That's where it's been for about the past decade. This plan would increase that by $500 million. It would also tie shared revenue to the Wisconsin sales tax. So as sales taxes grow, more people buy more things, local governments get more money. That's where everybody sees eye to eye. The point of contention is that Republicans aren't going to just give this money away for free. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos has been very clear that if the state is going to give more money to local governments, and particularly the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County, they're going to want some spending reforms. So this plan includes spending restrictions, can't spend the money on the HOP, for example, and spending requirements. Milwaukee can only spend whatever money it gets on pensions or police, fire, 911, and Milwaukee public schools would have to bring school resource officers back into their buildings. And that's where these negotiations are. The latest is all behind the scenes. There was a very quick committee hearing on this Thursday. Now, last week, the Committee on Local Government, because we all love to get into the weeds on the committees, they held a 6-hour hearing where they allowed all manners of lawmakers and local leaders to come and testify and say, hey, this is what we need. This is what we like about the plan. This is what we don't like about the plan. So this Thursday, there was another meeting. It took 23 minutes. Democrats in the Capitol tried to push through what they're calling a clean bill. And this clean bill would have put all the money through without any of the restrictions. And that's not going to happen. There was also some conversation about where we are in the negotiations. And this is the news of the new news. State Representative Todd Novak said, look, this is a work in progress, but he also turned around and said that Republicans expect to vote the bill out next Wednesday. So that means that whatever the final version of this shared revenue plan is, lawmakers will likely see it not long before they vote on it. Here's Representative Novak.
There are no amendments today because there are negotiations still going on, and I don't believe it would be worthwhile to pass amendments where they are right now and then have to amend it again. So I expect there will be amendments next week when this hits the floor.
Again, Wonewoc says that they expect to pass this on Wednesday. It would then head to the Senate. We haven't heard from Senate Republicans. Assembly Democrats took this opportunity to complain that they have been shut out of these negotiations. And some of that is politics. Some of that is that the Republicans aren't negotiating with Democrats in the Assembly because they don't have enough votes. Republicans are negotiating with the governor's office. And Wonewoc said if Assembly Democrats feel that they have been left out or left behind, that they should blame their own side. Don't blame Republicans.
Every week we've been briefed as negotiations went on, our input in our caucus. I did assume, and we talked last week, that you were getting the same because you guys are part of it. So I will just say that this is why you saw us not ask many questions last week, because we've been in the loop the whole time because our leadership who was negotiating gave us framework, what they were working on. I just assumed that you guys were too.
Now, unfortunately, they haven't shared that framework with me or with many people in the media that I have seen. And so we, too, are likely going to see this shared revenue plan, the biggest change in the Wisconsin budget in a decade. We're going to see the details on that shortly before it goes up for a vote. It is preordained to be passed. And so next week, we will be talking, hopefully, about the actual specifics and timeline as to just what this shared revenue plan is going to look like.
Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for The Center Square. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.